Alrighty guys, it is time to head back to Murdoch territory. We've been spending a lot of time in Idaho and Massachusetts recently, and we are now back in South Carolina to review the 76-count complaint against Becky Hill, which was only just filed on May 17th, 2024, and so it was just released a couple days ago. So we are going to take a look. So now, just to be clear, this is the State Ethics Commission. This is not criminal charges. This is not a lawsuit, nothing of the sort. This is before the Ethics Commission because of the fact that she was a publicly elected official. So only state officials will be coming before this commission. So this is the notice of hearing. Now, the similarity that you would have with this, just like we would see in all of our criminal complaints that we go through, you have a complainant, you have a respondent, there's different languaging based on the court in the different documents that we review, but nonetheless, things that are similar, you always have whoever is bringing the charge or bringing the complaint or bringing a lawsuit, right? If it's like civil, anything like that, they're going to be the first name here, and then whoever is the recipient, right? So defendant, respondent will be below, regardless of who the moving party is, right? That order always stays the same with the parties, okay? So, all right, the State Ethics Commission has determined that there is probable cause pursuant to Section 813.320.10I, Code of Laws, South Carolina, 1976, as amended in the above-captioned complaint. The State Ethics Commission will therefore convene a formal hearing into the matters in accordance with Section 813.320.10I and J, Code of Laws, South Carolina, 1976, as amended, and State Ethics Commission regulations. And we've got some more code here. On Thursday, December 19th, 2024, at 9:30 a.m. So that is when the hearing is being scheduled. At the State Ethics Commission hearing room located at, there's the address, in case anybody lives in South Carolina and wants to attend. There you have it. All right, the following allegations will be heard. So the first thing we're going to do, because a lot of these counts are violating the same rule. So what we're going to first do is take a look at this rule. So this is from the, this is Section 813.700A from the South Carolina Code, annotated. So we're going to take a look at that. All right, so we are here at the South Carolina Code of Laws. So we need to get to Article 7. So scroll. Where is it? Oh, we went too far. A bridge too far, as it were. All right, here we go. Article 7, Rules of Conduct. So this is, again, the applicable rule here that Becky Hill has violated numerous times. Section 813.700, use of official position or office for financial gain, disclosure of potential conflict of interest. So subsection A, no public official, public member, or public employee may knowingly use his official office, membership, or employment to obtain an economic interest for himself, a family member, an individual with whom he is associated, or a business with which he is associated. This prohibition does not extend to the incidental use of public materials, personnel, or equipment subject to or available for public officials, public members, or public employees' use that does not result in additional public expense. So basically, long and short of it, you shouldn't be using your public office to enrich yourself, enrich thyself, we shall say, being fancy. But the main point too is, like, remember, because they're a public official, it's taxpayer dollars. So it's twofold. It's like not only using their public office to enrich themselves or for personal gain, but also anything that they're doing that any resources that they use from that office are it's causing additional expense. So what they're saying here is that if there's incidental use of materials that don't result in additional public expense, then this prohibition does not apply in that situation. Okay, so now that we've read that and we understand the rule, count 1, use of official position for financial gain, Section 813.700A, right, we just read that. That Rebecca H. Hill, former Colleton County Clerk of Court, knowingly used her official position to direct a bonus to herself in the amount of $2,000 in September of 2021 from IBD's child support funds in violation of 813-700A. So again, this is the rule. We're going to see this numerous times. And so this is, so remember, each time, just like we've seen in other cases, including with Alec Murdaugh, every single separate instance that she used funds, used resources to enrich herself, as they say, is a separate charge, a separate count, just like you would have in a criminal complaint. You know, each time you violate the law, the rule, the code, then it's all separate instances and a separate charge. So same thing. So we're going to see a lot of the same languaging, but the amounts might vary, right? Or where it came from might vary. So count 2, same thing as above. All this is the same, but now we have got a bonus of $308.10 from the same funds. So let's go on to count 3. All the same. Now we've got $2,500, and this is from September of 2022 from, again, the same place, the child support funds. Next, count 4, same. This is for $2,500 in March of 2023. So then we have count 5, same. And this is for $2,500 in October of 2023. Then count 6. All right, so now this is a little bit different. That Rebecca Hill, former Colleton County Clerk of Court, knowingly used her official position to negotiate the use of the Colleton County Courthouse and an interview in exchange for the promotion of her book, Behind the Doors of Justice, in violation of the same rule. So again, this is personal gain, right? Because she's promoting her book. There you have it. And of course, it's taxpayer dollars that are paying for the courthouse and are paying for the personnel and the staff to have it open during courthouse hours and, you know, all the rest, her salary included. So, so count 7. Now, what is different? So let's take a look. So it's the same rule, but what's the difference? So the first, we had all these so far, counts 1 through 6, use of official position for financial gain. Now we have use of official position for financial gain for business with which associated. All right, so Rebecca Hill, former Colleton County Clerk of Court, knowingly used her official position to authorize issuance of a check in the amount of $150 to Community Innovations, a business with which she is associated. So again, same rule, but now it's a business that she's associated with, and that's what's benefiting. Count 8, same. So this is for $600 to Community Innovations. Again, same thing. Count 9. Now here, look, check it out. We have a different rule. Use or disclosure of confidential information for financial gain, Section 813-725A. So now let's take a look at that one. All right, so we're going to find 813-725A. Here we go. So here's the section. Use or disclosure of confidential information by public official, member, or employee for financial gain. Examination of private records. Penalties. All right, what's subsection A? A public official, public member, or public employee may not use or disclose confidential information gained in the course of or by reason of his official responsibilities in a way that would affect an economic interest held by him and a member of his immediate family, an individual with whom he is associated, or a business with which he is associated. So let's see what she did. All right, so we just went over that rule. So that Rebecca Hill, former Colleton County Clerk of Court, provided an individual with whom she was associated confidential information in the form of a photograph of an inmate. I think we all know who that is. In the Colleton County Courthouse holding cell to promote the sale of a book in violation of Section 813-725A. And of course, that individual, from everything we know, is her co-author's wife. So this actually even came up in the hearing that we saw with Chief Justice Toll. So this photograph was then given to Melissa Gordon. So Neil Gordon was the co-author of Becky's book, and Melissa was his wife. She's a photographer. She was the recipient of this photograph. Now, will charges or anything happen with her? will anything be brought against her? I highly doubt it, and here's why. Because she was not serving in public office. She did not hold a role in public office. She did not have any type of duty or have any way to be held accountable, or would even have known that she was violating any rule, right? Like, if she was handed this photograph from Becky Hill. Now, Becky Hill, on the other hand, was holding public office and would have known better, right? Should have known better, did know better, and did it anyway. Count 10. So now we're back to the original rule here. This says the direct payment in the amount of $110.50 drawn on check number 6377, to wit, Hill directed that she be reimbursed for the purchase of items, including but not limited to meals for Clerk of Court employees. All right. Count 11. Rebecca Hill knowingly used her official position to direct payment in the amount of $113.28 drawn on check 6381, and this is for, similar to the previous one, items including but not limited to food and gifts for Clerk of Court employees noted as, quote, Easter goodies, end quote. Why does that just track as exactly what you would expect from someone who, I guess, nicknamed herself none other than Becky Boo? Ugh, sorry, I can't. Easter goodies. I don't like the word goodies. I just don't. That's just me, though. Count 12. Now we have $201.30, check number 6385, and this is for, quote, Mother's Day gifts. Okay, that's at least not as annoying as a title as Easter goodies. Count 13. Direct payment in the amount of $180, drawn check number 6385. So what's interesting is these are the same check numbers. Huh. So Mother's Day gifts and then Mother's Day gift card staff. So that makes sense. So what would have happened is, because these were two separate expenses, but around the same time, they must have been combined into the same check. So again, we have $201.30 on 6385, and then we have $180 on also the same check, 6385. And the first is Mother's Day gifts. This is a Mother's Day gift card. So she must have added these two together and drawn a check number 6385 for the total of both of those. But they were separate. But the way they would have been listed, right, for bookkeeping purposes, I suppose, would have been separate instances. Mother's Day gift card staff. Huh. Is that like to say that you had to hire people to do something with a gift card? That's an interesting one. I want to know more about that. Mother's Day gift card staff. Yeah, see, this also is fishy, right? So it's like items including but not limited to gifts for Clerk of Court employees known as Mother's Day gifts. Now, this one is items including but not limited to gift cards for Clerk of Court employees. So the first one's gifts, this one's gift cards. And the first one's called Mother's Day gifts, and the second one is called Mother's Day gift card stuff. It almost seems kind of like, I don't know, man. That seems fishy. Do you guys think so? All right, count 14. Becky Hill knowingly used her official position to direct payment in the amount of $53 drawn on check. Oh, here we go again. Check 6385. All right, what have we got now? Wow. Y'all, okay, it gets worse. Mother's Day gifts, staff, courthouse ladies. What? That's in quotes there for anyone who's listening. It's in quotes. I'll read it now with the quotes in place. Quote, Mother's Day gifts, staff, courthouse ladies, end quote. That's what it says. So, like, if you're a lady, according to Becky Hill, and she buys you something for Mother's Day, then that goes into a separate category than the men. So in other words, all this other shit, the Mother's Day, so what did we have? We had the Mother's Day gifts, then we had the Mother's Day gift card staff. Now this third one says ladies. So does that mean that the rest of those others were for men? Mother's Day gifts for men? What a mess. What a mess. All right, at least now for the next charge, we're moving on to a new check number. Fucking hell. All right, Becky Hill knowingly used her official position to direct payment in the amount of $151.95, drawn on check number 6386. So what have we got now? Including but not limited to, quote, paint samples. Wow, this is funny. Paint samples, fruit, and snacks. 4, FC and CP judge, lunch for clerk, CR, LC, and CP clerks, FC wall. What the fuck? Why? See, this to me seems like an example where these should be separate, right? Paint samples should be one thing, and then fruit and snacks, maybe a separate thing? I don't know. This is weird. This is all weird to me. And then what have we got next? Count 16. Becky Hill unknowingly used her official position to direct payment in the amount of $60.15 drawn on check number 6394. Items including but not limited to meals for herself, clerk of court employees, and court personnel. Well, okay, so I want to see these checks. Because are they made out to her personally? Now, here's a question that I have. A question that I have is that had there not been all this business with Alec Murdaugh where she talked to the jury tampering, all the rest, and let's also say had she not written a book, would all of this just gone unnoticed? That's what I'm wondering, because this all happened to everything that we've learned after. Not just after the allegations of like the jury tampering, but after the book and all that. It was coming out. Now, what I'm wondering is this. What I'm wondering is if, let's say you're a government employee, and I'm sure, I have no doubt that there are allowable expenses where you get reimbursed for things. Now, what I don't know is if you're allowed to do, okay, it would make sense that they would not allow you to use your personal account. Like, for example, okay, so the fact that it looks like her plan here is to reimburse herself, like as if she paid for these things and she's reimbursing herself. Now, so that would mean that she must have used her own personal account, like wrote a check personally, or more than likely used a credit card or a debit card or whatever, right? Her own personal funds. And so then has to reimburse, the reimbursement would happen to herself. Whereas, alternatively, there could be, what do they call it? Like discretionary funds or whatever that are assigned to the office and go through the office, right? Instead of her personal account. I would imagine that's how it's supposed to be done. However, if it were a problem for her to pay for something with her own money and then reimburse herself, I would imagine that the very first time that happened, they would have noticed that. Like, so I'm not saying the problem isn't her reimbursing herself. I think that the real problem here is if it was allowed that she use her own money in the first place, right? Because I feel like that's setting it up for disaster. Like everything we've read so far, none of this is like there's an emergency, I'm just helping somebody out. This is all like daily, like normal, mundane, day-to-day shit. Paint samples, lunch, gift cards for Mother's Day, whatever the fuck. So those are all things that should have been more like foreseen. Like there should have been like discretionary funds available, I feel like, where if you're using those, then it would be right away. You would not be able to get away with writing a check to yourself, right? Like that wouldn't make any sense. Plus, there would be no reimbursement needed. If you pay for this stuff to begin with using accounts that belong to the office, done. It's just you paid for it with that, right? I would imagine then that the way it's set up, at least here, and maybe it will change, but it must be that she was able to use her own personal account to pay for things. And therefore, that was not a red flag, right? And then, ostensibly, she's submitting maybe some sort of receipts or something, I don't know, something to back up these charges, right? And to say she should be reimbursed. I just wonder, again, if this would have ever even been discovered were it not for all the other shenanigans. And then, to add to that, clearly, the fact that there's these charges being brought with the Ethics Commission, clearly, and so the whole thing is the financial gain. So that means that all along, when she was writing these, being reimbursed for these totals, she must have been exaggerating the amounts, or, because so far, all of this looks like it was all items purchased for the, like, unless it was all just made up to begin with, but, like, clearly, I think that if that were the case, they would have been like, well, wait, hang on, nobody got Mother's Day gifts. You know what I mean? Like, the people, I would assume, we're getting Mother's Day gifts. We're getting gift card, whatever it is, lunch, paint chips. So it's like either she would be making the items up completely, right? Or that was real, but she was exaggerating the total. At least from what we've read so far now, maybe there will be things on here like, you know, Becky's car insurance. And then it's like, well, hang on now, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, these items all seem plausible. So I'm wondering if it's just the amounts were embiggened, as EDB would say. Like, if you work for the Clerk of Court, they might have, you know, they might be allowed to order lunch on with taxpayer dollars. Or maybe it's just for special occasions. All that stuff is interesting, isn't it? Because you have to think about that. Like, it seems really hard to believe that they would allow you to buy lunch every day for everybody, right? That seems like that would be not possible. So I'm wondering if there's some reason why this would even be a thing. Like, is it because you're staying late? What's the deal? Because again, all of this would be taxpayer dollars. And a lot of this has to do with food so far too. In my mind, the food must be allowable. It must be, the meals, the food must be approved, like a thing that is allowed. But maybe it's just allowed on certain occasions or what. But also, I think that still it's probably like she exaggerated the amount. So, all right, count 17. Amount of $244.49 on check $63.93. All right, now on this one, we've got gifts for Clerk of Court employees noted as birthday gifts and meals for family members. Okay, so meals for family members. See, now we're getting to something where it's like, you know, like, I have a hard time seeing how that would be approved with taxpayer dollars, right? I don't know. Yeah. All right, count 18. Becky Hill knowingly used her official position to direct payment in the amount of $117.14. Draw on check 6404. What have we got here? So we've got meals for herself and employees of the solicitor's office. More meals. More meals. All right, count 19. $51.80 on check 5141. This one, we've got more gifts for Clerk of Court employees. You know, it's funny. This is reminding me a little bit of The Office, where, you know, every season they've got somebody's birthday. At least, you know, there's like Michael's birthday is like usually an episode in every season, and then there's other people's birthdays. And then there's also the whole thing of like all the other parties, right? There's a lot of Michael Scott's always trying to throw parties all the time for everything. And I don't know if y'all have watched The Office, but it's really funny because he's always getting in trouble for wanting to spend, you know, they have a budget, right? Discretionary funds for things like parties, office parties, gifts. It's the same type of shit. And he was always getting in trouble for wanting to like spend more than what was approved and all that. It's reminding me a lot of that, where it's like, oh my God, keep reading, Chelsea. Smirnoff Ice. Holy, what? That's so funny that I just thought of The Office right before this one, because one of the first seasons, season 1 or season 2 maybe. You know, he's throwing a Christmas party and instructs Ryan, I believe the temp, to go out and buy a bunch of alcohol. And he's like, how much alcohol is it going to take to get this many people drunk? Anyway, really funny that here's Smirnoff Ice, because she was using, holy shit, for courthouse staff with taxpayer dollars. I can't see how that's approvable, right? Like alcohol, like on the premises too, right? Like it would have to. Wow. All right, $95.26. You know what also is really fucking funny? That also has an overlap with Karen Reed, because there's those pictures with Brian Higgins, the text messages, and there's a picture that Karen took, of the freaking Smirnoff Ice. And it's funny, I've literally never seen this. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know what it is. It's alcohol. But I was like, where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, that's right. It was a picture in those text messages. Holy shit. All right, wow. It all comes full circle, right? Who would have thought, even with Becky Hill, this would have come up? Count 21. Same rule violated again. $137.93, check number 5149. And this is more lunch. They're eating a lot of lunches, it seems like. Count 21. Use of, same rule. We're not going to read that again. $306.64, check 5150. Oh, this is for Valentine's Day gifts. Again, this is not out of the realm of possibilities. This seems kind of normal. You think about if you go to the dentist or the doctor or the library or somewhere, there are places that are going to get decorated for the holidays. That's normal. And whenever you see that, you can assume, all right, there's some sort of discretionary fund where it's an account that belongs to the place, whatever place it is, right? And it's like, here's, there's a budget of $50 for Valentine's Day gifts, right? So again, what's weird about it is in order for her to be reimbursing herself, she must have been paying for this and buying these things with her own money. And I just can't, I'm having a hard time imagining that is the regular protocol. I just have a hard time. And I really don't know if there's a way that I can ever learn the answer to these questions. Maybe we'll hear about it in the hearing. Count 23. $91.96 on check 5153. This is for, more paint supplies. Interesting. I would like to know also, was there paint going on? Was there actually painting being done at the courthouse? Why was she buying, hold on. Why was she buying paint? Like, okay, are we talking paint? Is this paint like art supply paint? Because it doesn't specify. Or is this paint like for the walls? To the window, to the wall. Another connection there to Karen Reed. And the music video that we did on Get Low, Canton style. So, because that's a big difference. Now, if this is like finger paint or like decorative paint or something to decorate, I guess maybe with, that could be plausible. But if this is paint like for the walls, I cannot figure out how the hell she would be purchasing this for use at the court. What I'm wondering is, and this is the reason I'm asking what type of paint, because was this for her house, right? Like maybe she was having some renovations going on at home and that's what the paint was for. That's why I'm really curious. Because see, now, again, remember my first thought was like reading through this. This is the first look for me for reading through it. But my first thought was like, okay, well, the expenses seem plausible. Maybe the amount is being exaggerated. But see, now what I'm wondering is she starting to kind of sneak in things that the expenses would not even be allowable in the first place? Like, if this is paint for her house, no way, right? Count 24. $131.53 on check 6451. This is some more meals. Count 25, $74.88 on check 5155, and this is for office supplies. So that could be anything. Count 26, $100.46 on check 6460. Some more meals, birthday lunch with staff. See, again, this is why I'm like wondering, like, again, okay, I can see there being an allowable expense for meals if it's like a special occasion, right? Like, and which would, like, that's why this makes sense. Birthday lunch with staff. But a lot of these don't have a special occasion attached to them, right? They're just like meals, snacks, whatever. And also, you could easily just like keep saying it's somebody's birthday, right? That's problematic. Count 27. $97.19 on check 6460. Floral items and assorted beverages and meals. It's funny that some of this is really specific and some of it's like completely not specific. Like, sorry, vague. That's the word I'm looking for. Like some of it's just like really specific, and then other like that. This seems like, and it's weird. It's weird. Count 28. $115.20 on check 6462. Again, this is just meals. Nothing specific listed here on that one. All right, count 29. $69.87 on check 6462. Lunch. Count 30. $131.84 on check 6474. More lunch for and this time now she's specifying lunch for courtroom staff and jury, as well as gifts for court personnel. It's really shitty too if you're like, you remember, like, we've heard people talking about, like, how, like, and it's how it should be, right? Like, the jury treated well. You know, we've heard stories about the jury being brought food in many different trials. And, or like, the bailiffs, you know, they bring little treats and stuff. And I love that. Like, I remember even in, like, the Kowalski trial, they were saying how they loved it. Everything was decorated for Halloween, and then it was, like, a juror's birthday, and they had something planned for the birthday, and the court staff did. And stuff like that. That's great. I love it. It's how it should be. But when it gets really messed up, right? And it kind of, it's almost bordering on Murdoch-y in a way, in the sense that, like, imagine if what's happening here, I don't know what that is. We don't know. But imagine if what's happening here is, again, these are things that maybe were happening, right? I'm not saying there weren't gifts. I think there were gifts. We all heard things of that nature. You know, it's not like she wasn't buying them the shit. I think, again, in some of these cases, it might just be the amount was exaggerated. But isn't that fucked up, though? Where it's like, it's taking advantage, right? Kind of like, yeah, I'm doing something kind for you. I'm helping you. Similarly to Murdoch when it came to the financial crimes with the people who were his clients, right? It's like something that started out maybe where it was good. Like, initially he wasn't stealing, right? At some point he wasn't stealing back in the day. He was just doing things normally. With Becky, I mean, she hasn't been in that position for very long, and she's not there anymore, but I would imagine she didn't start out stealing right off the bat, or taking money for personal gain right off the bat. Initially she probably was just buying gifts for people, right? I don't know. But then it's like, well, now it's like extra fucked up. You're bringing the jury into the mix, right? So it's almost like taking advantage of the jury in a way. Like, let's say you're buying the jury gifts and the court personnel gifts, which is great, but like, let's say you're spending $60, but then you write a check, or a check is written to reimburse you. You directed a payment to yourself for $131.84. So you're profiting off of it. It's just, it's bad stuff. All right, count 31. It's $256.57 on check 6473. So now we've got items including but not limited to snacks, supplies, and meals. Very general and vague. Count 32. So we are almost... No, we're not almost halfway through all of the counts because there's 74 total. All right, let's keep going. So we've got now $89.47 drawn on check 6474. More Mother's Day gifts. Count 33. $82.17 on check 6475, and this is for snacks and supplies for court personnel. Count 34. $400. What's this one? Gifts for Clerk of Court employees. And it's $400 even. It makes one wonder, are these in any type of, well, if you look at the check number, see, I was just wondering the date. There's no date, right? Which is annoying. I wish there was a date. But if you look at the check number, this check is a lower numbered check. How do checkbooks go? Do they go in reverse order? Because what I'm wondering is if this is in chronological order. Because here we're seeing at least in this one charge, we're seeing the description being more vague. We're seeing the amount being larger, and we're also seeing a perfectly round number. I would imagine there's got to be some rhyme or reason, right? So the checks are out of order in terms of the check number. I don't know. I have a lot. You see, I just want to know everything, right? Unfortunately, because it's just not a thing that is possible. So, count 35. $81, check 6043. What have we got now? Meals for herself and court personnel and Clerk of Court employees. Count 36. $95.48 on check 6043. Meals. More meals. They're eating a lot. Count 37. $66.54 on check 6042. Gifts. Not specific to a holiday. Again, just gifts. Count 38. $82.78. Meals. Count 39. $128.46. Check number 6497. Gifts. Count 40. $105.70, check 6497, gifts. And again, these are all the same rules. So far, we've only had that one so far. That was about the picture, the photograph taken. That's the only one that had a different rule cited. These are all the same. That's why I'm not repeating it a million times. Count 41, $120.84, check number 6503 for courthouse supplies. Count 42. $57.82, check number 6510, and this is meals for herself and a guest. Interesting. Count 43. $74.39, check number 6513. Meals for herself and vendor. I'm shaking my head. Count 44. $67.66 on check 6513. Office decorations. Count 45. $345.95, check number 6522. Meals for herself and Clerk of Court employees, as well as office decorations. Again, I guess. I wish there were dates. Count 46. $144.48, check 6525. Meals. You know, I have to say also, I would imagine that attached to this original document, the one, it would not have been released to the public, were, I would imagine, the exhibits. And the exhibits would have all of these checks. Check numbers and shit like that. And that would have the date. And that would have all that. Like, they probably have images of every check and then maybe like a typed up list. But that's not going to be released to the public for obvious reasons. It would have to be redacted, and even then, I don't know that it even would be released because, again, I don't know that the public has the same right to that under, like, FOIA as it does for other, because again, this isn't criminal, right? This is the Ethics Commission. So I'm not entirely sure, like, I don't know that the public has a right to that information. I doubt it. However, if there are criminal charges brought, then that might be a different story. Or, of course, it's possible somebody could get their hands on the document, a journalist or somebody, and hopefully they will redact the personal account information. But I'm just thinking that a lot of the questions I have would be answered by seeing the actual checks, because the dates will be on there. And it'll actually have literally what she's writing in the memo for what it's for. Count 47. $106.86 on check 6526. An office cooler and office decorations. What's an office cooler? Like a cooler, like the type you take to go like out fishing on a boat, or like the red cooler. Like a mini fridge would make sense. A cooler though. But see, $108.86. That's not enough for a fridge, I don't think, a mini fridge. I have no idea how much a mini fridge is, to be completely honest. Maybe I'll look that up. And office decorations, that's so vague, who knows? I mean, that could be anything, right? It could be any number of them at any price. Oh, man. Let's see how much a mini fridge goes for these days. Of course, I'm sure there's a lot of variation, but let's just look at like a run-of-the-mill situation. I can't type fridge correctly. Not frodge. Fridge. Love it. All right. Typing is hard. Oh, okay. Interesting. So here's one from Lowe's for $100. I mean, it looks like, how much did it say she spent? $106.86. Well, having said that, tax on a $100 fridge would still be more, I think, total. And you have to save money for the whatever the fuck office decorations. I think we can rule out mini fridge, but you know what? It's even weirder though if it was a cooler, like the type you take on a boat or tailgating or whatever. I can't figure out what they would do with that. Unless it's to keep the fucking Smirnoff Ices in. Alright, count 48. Woo! Okay, this is the biggest number so far in terms of the non-child support related ones. $543.89 on check 6529. And that's for meals. Oh, look at this. More specific. Oh my God, more alcohol. You can't. You've got to be kidding me. This is so insane. I can't imagine they're allowed to drink alcohol on the premises. I can't fathom that. Meals, appetizers, soft drinks, Jagermeister and Limoncello. Provided during a going away lunch for an employee of the solicitor's office. Oh my God. A going away lunch. So then are they not working the rest of the day? I would imagine they're working the rest of the day, right? After drinking Jagermeister and Limoncello? Why specifically those two things? Oh my God. All right, count 49. $600. 6538 is the check number on this one. And this is for picnic tables. Okay, well, I could see how that could be $600. Although, having said that, I feel like I could see picnic tables actually costing more than that. All right, let's look it up. How much is a freaking picnic table? Now, we don't know. Is this plastic? Is it wood? I wonder how that affects price. We're going to find out. Let's learn together. Picnic tables. Oh, wow. Holy crap. I will say I am very surprised at how inexpensively you can get picnic tables. I am shocked. I am absolutely shocked. So if you picture your typical, your basic ass wooden picnic table, like you'd see at a park or something, where it's just wooden, nothing else fancy. I mean, we're looking at like wow, that one's nice. A little over $100, but like, man, you can get some nice ones for like 135, 140. Wow. I am shocked that these are so cheap. Wow. I'm really surprised. All right, so for $600, you could get a couple of these picnic tables, depending on which type you get. But yeah, even if you get a nice one, you get more than you could probably get 2 of them. All right, well, now we've solved that mystery. Count 50. We're over halfway done. $66 on check $65.39, and this was for personal meals. It's interesting this is personal meals because some of them just say meals. So why would you add the word personal? That's interesting. Count 51. $95.69 on check $65.46. This says food for jurors and court personnel. Count 52. $268.04 on check $65.68. Valentine's Day gifts to jurors. Again? I guess this must be a different year. Because they already have Valentine's Day. You guys, obviously, duh, it has to be the next year. Yeah. Unless she's just making it up, right? Again, I guess that's all possible. But you feel like if she was doing that, she could have picked at least a different holiday. Maybe one that she hadn't used yet. Anyway, all right, let's not help her do her crime better. Count 53. $58.48 on check $65.50. Food for court personnel. Count 54. $67.82 on check $65.68. And this is for meals for clerk of court employees. Count 55. $51.63 on check $65.75, and this was for brunch snacks. What the fuck is brunch snacks? I'm sorry. What? Like, again, it's just so funny how sometimes it's just like meals and then other brunch snacks. It's weird, right? And you also would think there would have to be a system for how they're even supposed to be describing these things, right? Like you would think that either you just put it in the category, like they would have a rule, or maybe the rule is like it has to be like specific. But whatever it is, she's not following it because she's doing all types of things. Like there's no rhyme or reason to how she's labeling this shit, which is interesting in and of itself. Count 56, $62.64 on check $65.75. This is gifts for clerk of court employees. Count 57, $200 on check $65.75. Office furniture. All right, well, $200. I don't know what kind of office furniture you're buying. I don't know if you guys have ever looked up those, like, those like metal folding chairs that you see everywhere. Those are way more expensive than you would think, to be honest. Count 58. $140.40 on check 1103. Again, the check number went way down here because we've been in the 6,000s. This is for meals and gifts, it says, for clerk of court employees. Count 59. $125 on check 65.75. Personal meals. Count 60. $76.86 on check 1103. Dog food, dog bones, and a dog bed. Okay, I'm struggling with this one. You would have been better off maybe putting gifts. Again, if you're trying to get away with this and be like, oh, it's a gift for an employee and they got a dog. Okay, well, then put gifts. I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to help her steal from her office better. Not that she can because she's not there anymore. I'm just very confused. I have a lot of questions. Maybe she didn't put that much thought into it. Maybe that explains it. Maybe she just didn't put as much thought into it as I am trying to understand it. Count 61. $55.97. Check 1109. Personal meals. Count 62. $154.01 on check 1107. personal meals and gifts. Count 63. $425, check 1108, and this is reimb for Lori's 50th birthday. Again, reimbursement. So it's like she's paying for everything from her own personal account. Again, that's, like I said earlier, that in and of itself is a big question. Is that the policy? I can't imagine that that's the policy. That seems hard to believe. Count 64. And see, then it's like, well, then shouldn't they have caught this earlier? And that's why, again, I was asking the question of like, well, why wasn't this caught? And would this have never been caught if it wasn't for all the other shenanigans? Count 64, $56.50 on check 1109. Lemonade. Wait. Sorry. Hold on. First of all, I missed the first couple words. Candy, tea, and lemonade. But why is it Lori's 50th birthday again? Didn't we already reimburse that? $425. Okay. What are you buying for her birthday, first of all? When you bought, quote-unquote, furniture for the office, or what did she say specifically? Let me see. It was $200. I remember that. Because I remember being like, that's not much for furniture. All right, here it was. Office furniture. $200 even. However, $425 for, quote, reimb for Lori 50th birthday, end quote. But that's not all, because apparently that doesn't even include other shit. Candy, tea, and lemonade for Lori's 50th birthday for $56.50. So many questions. Count 65. $77.20 on check number 1112. This was meals for herself, court personnel, and employees of the Attorney General's office. Alan Wilson. Shout out to Alan Wilson. Count 66. We're getting closer, guys. $72.10. Check 1112. Oh, same check as the previous. Sorry. This is a funny one. It says, quote, Father's Day for guys, end quote. So, okay, Father's Day for guys. Does this mean that I can expect a follow-up check for Father's Day for ladies? Because I remember I made that joke earlier. It was one of the very first charges we saw with the Mother's Day shit. And I made the joke about there was a completely separate thing. It was like Mother's Day lady shit. And I was like, well, wait, what? Anyway. All right, Father's Day for guys. Count 67. $232.47 on check 1119. Personal meals and court personnel. What? Personal meals and court personnel? Like you bought a person? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Count 68. $94.96. Check 1124. Meals for herself and clerk of court employees. Count 69. $118.62 on check 1134. Meals for herself and clerk of court employees. They eat a lot over there. Count 70. $76.71. Check 1136. Gifts for clerk of court employees. Count 71. $50.87. Check 1136. So same check as previous. Gifts. Count 72. $79.66 on check number 1143, and this says cleaning supplies. That's the first time we've seen cleaning supplies. But also, why are you buying cleaning supplies? Because I guarantee you they have janitorial staff. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Count 73. $183.25 on check 1151. Office decorations. And count 74. $128.71 on check 1153. Office decorations and supplies. You have the right to be represented by counsel, the right to call and examine witnesses, the right to introduce exhibits, and the right to... So all the same rights that you would see with like... Well, not all the same rights. Some of the same rights that you'd have in a criminal trial. In other words, it's like these rights also apply to her. This hearing will be open to the public. Sweet! As required by Code of Laws. Blah, blah, blah. A pre-hearing conference may be scheduled prior to the hearing to allow exchange of witness lists and evidence, marking of exhibits, and disposition of motions or pleadings. In the event you fail to appear, judgment by default will be rendered against you. If there are any questions concerning the above notice or hearing times, please contact the state ethics. Oh, I guess there's a page missing there. Actually, I did see a note about the fact that there might be a page missing. But I don't think that I mean, you know, we wanted to see the charges, so whatever. my guess it's more signatures. But here's the signature here that has the date of May 17th, 2024. So that is all the new Becky Hill charges coming from the Ethics Commission from South Carolina. That's that. And I certainly have a lot more questions. Yeah, interesting. And interesting the overlaps with Murdaugh in terms of the style. And then also interesting that there were a couple commonalities with the Karen Read trial. So that is it for now. That's this document. Hope you guys had fun. And we'll see you on the next video.